I'm Paul Jolly.
I'm Maggie Nicols.
And I'm interviewing Maggie Nicols down in this wonderful Phil Gates Studios down in South Wales, recording an album for 33.
Yeah, a standards album after all these years.
We promised it years ago, Maggie.
I know.
Yeah. But this is a project, the Accidental Archivist, which is funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. And all this material eventually finish up on their website.
All about the wonderful 33. And it was number 33 Guildford Street. Actually was 33 Guildford Street. 33, magic number.
Absolutely. And our background is about the music side of 33, but you got involved with the Arts Centre different ways.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if you can come up with some recollections of the first time you came into the place.
The first time, oh my goddess. Oh, I can't even remember the first time because it's just been there forever. It's just been there forever. Can you remember the first time?
I think you came in perhaps for a couple of gigs, but before the Lovely project, I think.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I did thing with Contradictions.
Yeah, I think
we did work with Contradictions, Annalisa's Story, with Shirley and Sally and gosh, but yeah, yeah.
There were so many gigs in those early days.
That's right. When did 33 start then?
Well, there's a couple of different versions about that. But we started doing projects in Luton through Reflex, and we did the People Show and the People Band.
That's right.
The Royal Pub in those days. And then 33 got kicked off in the 70s, 75.
Yeah, I was definitely there in the 70s because that's when Contradictions was.
For sure.
Yeah, it was sort of late 70s, 80s, definitely. Oh my goodness, it just feels that it's always been there.
Yes, of course it's not there now, but
no.
Part of this project is talking to people.
I just loved it there. I loved it because it was one of the few community arts centres that really actually had the community in it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of so-called community arts centres, the community doesn't get a look in. They're just sort of plonked in like some spaceship, and the community is just excluded really. And this, I loved the cafe. Oh, I loved the cafe. It was a brilliant cafe.
The cafe is fantastic. It's the first.
So it brought people in. That was one of the things that brought people in.
It's one of the first vegetarian cafes in the country because most, the staff were there. But at that time, the Arts Centre, had a female director, Linda, and that was
Muddy.
quite rare.
Muddy,
yeah.
Oh, Muddy was brilliant. She was amazing.
But apart from the music, did you work with John Russell there? I can't remember if you did.
Yeah, I'm sure we did. Yeah. I'm sure me and John. And yeah, because I remember being really excited by what Gavin and Jean were doing as well. And I was interested in the theatre as well. And of course, Contradictions, we were sort of multimedia. So we did music, we did a bit of theatre, we did movement. 33 was so welcoming, it was so open.
Yeah, and I think that kind of merging the genres was all became, it was all an accident, do you know what I mean?
Was it?
The way that the work went on at 33 was like, most of it was by accident. People came out with an idea and they did it, and that was...
And you met most wonderful people. I met somebody there who gave me this wonderful, I wish I could remember his name, but I said I was always reading too many books at once. He said, oh no, that's the way to do it. He said, you read lots of different books and then you find the connecting theme in each book and you link, you join that together. There were so many people, brilliant people there.
Yeah, Dermot and
yes,
obviously Jean, you got quite close to.
Gary.
And Gary, of course.
Who I know a lot better now that, I'm doing more in Wales because Gary moved to Wales, and then I remember seeing him at some festival and thinking, that's bloody Gary, but I know him really well.
Yeah.
Because I knew him when he filmed Loverly.
That's right.
And we did loads of lovely gigs.
We did a lot of lovely gigs
at 33. And there was such a fantastic atmosphere and people supported the bands. We were supported. We had, you could just get a sense that people turned out to support to support us and enjoy us. And
it was a crazy band, lovely.
it was wonderful.
And of course,
Mel.
through 33, you met Mel.
Yes.
And Mel was a great influence on my life, but I think everyone who met him.
Yeah. He was special. He was so special, unique, and I loved that band because that came out of Mummy, didn't it?
Yeah. No, I think Mummy came later.
Oh, did it?
It didn't.
No, I thought Lovely was. I thought Mel wanted something that was maybe more kind of tunes based and not quite as wild
as Mummy. That's right. I think you're right.
I think he actually wanted something where he could do a lot of songwriting, and then we also because Mel wrote, you
Terry,
wrote, I wrote. Terry was perfect.
Terry
Day was
band,
part of Lovely, which was fantastic.
And Tim, who worked at 33, and he keeps going. But I think you're kind of you had a kind of influence in the building as well, because you did bring those different disparate groups together, and it made the place buzz a bit when you were around. I found some footage, only a few bits of footage from a lovely rehearsal, and it's very funny because people wander in and out, and it's a rehearsal for something, and it just sums up the whole.
The relaxed nature.
I think Gary shot it, so I'm hoping.
Oh, I hope he's got some of that. That would be brilliant. Footage. Yes. No, it was lovely rehearsing there. It was just, I had something in my head and it's gone out. Oh, no, I was going to say something. Oh. But I just always knew, I just always felt safe there. I felt, I loved gigging there, and I loved being in the cafe. I loved all the different people and the mix, and as I say, all the film, the music, the community. Graham, that's who I was thinking of. Graham, sound engineer Graham.
Yeah,
because Graham.
Yeah, in fact, I must talk to Graham. That's reminding me about Graham as well. I mean, one of the things that I'm interested to talk to you about briefly is that you worked in a lot of places at that period, sort of all around the country. And it's interesting, through doing this project, I've suddenly found that a lot of those places were in the same situation as us, that we got funding, but we used the funding for projects, not just to pay people to run the project. So we put our money into resources that people could use, and that's I think, that those attitudes from the Arts Council, particularly about community arts, have changed so much. And I think there's a kind of groundswell at the moment to look at more bottom-up funding, as opposed to all the money coming.
And then they set the agenda, and you've got to fit their agenda. Yeah, because the two places that stick out for me that I love so much are 33 and also Oval House. And Oval also always worked, for grassroots. And I think one of the things that Oval and 33 have in common, or had in common, was very much anybody could start a project.
Yes.
If somebody said, I want to actually get a band together, you'd be supported. A theatre group. It was a laboratory, and I think that's what was great about 33, similar to Oval House, that people could try things out. There was space to try things out, which is getting harder and harder.
I think it is, because I think a lot of that creativity comes from social environments. So people come into a cafe.
Yes, the cafe was so important.
They're interested in drama, and they finish up being a filmmaker. And
exactly.
What happened with Danny Cannon, who's now a Hollywood director, and people like that. And then the connection between us at 33 and the Oval House, of course, was the People Show, because they worked in both.
Of course.
And we did a lot of work for the People Show when they were rehearsing their big shows for the ICA and all that sort of stuff. Very crazy people.
I've probably got some cassettes of stuff we did at 33 if I could find them. It was because Contradictions, it was so lovely to have somewhere where, the Oval House was one place where Contradictions, London Musicians Collective and 33, we didn't really get that much opportunity. And it was wonderful because we could be really anarchic, experimental, and just there was a space that just went, just come and be here, and trusted us. And we did some fantastic things there. But yeah, I think I did do things with John Russell as well.
Yeah, I think trust is a kind of important word, because in those days you could build trust with the funding bodies as well.
Yeah.
They would be, the panels from the Arts Council would be made up of practitioners, which made it slightly different to now.
Yes.
So
yeah, I think now it's the only way you seem to be able to get a grant is if you put in about 3 or 4 times.
For sure.
I didn't even know you were allowed to do. I thought if they said no the first time, that was it. You went away all kind of depressed. But apparently that's what you do now. You have to just keep persevering and keep tweaking it to fit their kind of preconceived idea of what they mean by innovative, which seems often to mean gimmicky rather than genuinely innovative.
And it takes a while for your application to get to a real person as well, because
Wow.
if you make a mistake on the application forms, it all gets churned out and back to you and all that.
Oh, God.
That's another story, isn't it?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. No, that's it. You know, a lot has talked about grassroots, but 33 was the real deal, grassroots. And to me, that's the big thing, as I say, and I've said it before, but my thing I loved about 33 and the Oval House, that it was a working class arts centre.
Yeah.
You know, it was not a bourgeois thing where, you know, you've got all this, you know, fancy place and people think, oh, I can't go there. It's not for me, not for the likes of me. 33 was like, yeah, it's yours. It belongs to you.
Yeah.
It belongs to the community. It really does.
Yeah, I think it comes to that premise that the community have ideas themselves.
Yes.
You know, and community arts wasn't about painting red noses on people's
No,
faces.
exactly. And some sort of patronising thing. Let's do something for the community. Yeah, the community is the creative
they're the artists,
driving force of the, you know, the ideas, infinite creativity and innovation from people, you know, in the world, you know, in the local area, not just some experts sort of flown in to sort of like,
Yeah, I tell you what's to be done. I mean, in those days, you could have a conversation with your funders. I mean, the first money we ever got at 33, I don't know if you know this, was from the Gulbenkian Foundation.
No, I didn't know that.
So, which is a Portuguese-run organisation.
Yes.
And all that. And they said, what do you really need the money for? Even though it was an arts grant. And we said, well, we need something to heat the building, and they put in a boiler with their... So that's how we could run projects through the year.
But that's proper funding, isn't it? Actually saying, what are your needs and how can we support you to do what is uniquely your way of approaching things, rather than how can you fit into our agenda, and very almost sort of inauthentic so-called inclusion, which always feels that it's tick box rather than genuine.
For sure.
You know, and I'm sort of passionate about inclusion. I mean, you know, I was mentored by John Stevens, and as I say, with, you know, like who was radically inclusive, and of course 33 was inclusive. Oval House is genuinely inclusive, but now it all seems to be almost like, well, sort of contrived,
For
not
sure,
genuine.
Yeah. And the kind of terminology has changed, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, instead of genuine new forms.
Yeah.
You know, they call it mixed media or something. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
those are organic ways of working with artists. You know, working with poets as a musician, or with painters, and I mean, they're not new things. They were going on way back. You know.
Exactly.
And you know, difficult. And when I think about the old days, I get a bit nostalgic about it.
And how did I meet you and Muddy then? How did we meet?
I think you probably came through a gig. I did.
Somebody. It must have been somebody else. Got it? Maybe was it John? Who would it be? John Russell.
We did. I did. Well, I did a project with Lowell, which I think you were involved in. But
that's because I did quite a bit with Lowell.
Lowell as well.
Yeah.
That was at the old Musicians Cooperative. But I think you came first with one of those gigs.
Yeah.
And I think everyone knew you were a free spirit, so I think that's how you fitted into.
Oh, I fell in love. I fell in love with 33. I've always remembered 33 as one of my favourite ever places. And a lot of it is, as I said before, the cafe.
Yeah, it's interesting, the cafe. So many people
Fantastic
said,
food, fantastic food. It was brilliant. And you met people. This is how you met people, and you could generate projects just through meeting people as well.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. So a lot of people said about the cafe.
A lot of people, yeah. And, you know, some of the kind of, I guess what we talk about as major artists like David Arnold and that, who came from Luton, they came in to do one project, they finished up doing, Dave came in doing drama and finished up leading film composer in the world, you know, and all that stuff. And it's really strange and a lot of people, you know, we have different media centres in Luton now and stuff, but they miss the point about those social areas. And
of course they do. Of course they do. That is the heart. Because Old House had a canteen as well.
Yeah.
No, that was lovely.
Yeah, a friend of mine wrote a book about, they called it the water cooler moment, where in offices even, somewhere where people meet.
Yeah.
And so even in that kind of capitalist world, it works if you have social interaction.
Absolutely.
And stuff.
Yeah, and it was all the people that, you know, I had the most fantastic conversations with people that maybe weren't. Some of them were involved with the arts, some of them weren't, but they were there.
Yeah.
I've still got a picture of, and again, I wish I could remember. You know, you don't think one day I'm going to be interviewed and I'm going to have to remember everybody I've met. You know, people can have an influence and then you don't even remember their names. But he gave me this lovely little poster for Pisces, which is this wonderful, voluptuous, buxom woman in the sewers, all shining in the sewers and pedaling a boat. And I thought, oh yeah, I love that. I've still got it on a door in the hallway in the flat, and it was perfect.
And of course, you met Spon as well.
Oh, Spon! And I did that project around mental health as well with Spon. That was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a project outside of the work we did together. With
Absolutely.
Spon,
That was with Spon. And that was really great doing that, singing that.
Yeah, and he was a one-off because he came from all that punk era.
Yeah.
But he brought all that community with him, you know, in terms of recording stuff and, you know, just people coming into the studio and recording those reel-to-reel tapes and all that stuff.
Oh, reel-to-reel. And I love, one of my favourite things that Gene and Gavin did was that wonderful invisible TV, the 24-hour TV.
Oh yes,
that is, to me, is brilliant. And they were way ahead of their time.
Oh yeah, they kind of, them and that whole thing called Scratch Video came out of those relationships that Gene and Gavin built up.
And they brought people in, didn't they, as well? But that is amazing. And they showed how truth can be kind of distorted through editing.
Absolutely.
And they were doing that all back way back.
Late 70s they were doing that, early 80s. And
I know. That whole thing where they've got they've got all the different TV, satire and all the different TV shows, and there's this wonderful cop show, I remember it, and they, how you doing? Yeah, I've been up all night shooting suspects. Yeah. And it's just seamless. It's like...
And then they did that wonderful thing called Death Valley Days, where Reagan and Thatcher have a love affair.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Channel 4, and so there's a lot.
And then the sort of Dixon of Dockgreen down, and then suddenly Orgreave, like the miners, and you're just being beaten up. They were brilliant.
Yeah, because that was another thing. Because when 33 was in its early days, we had the miners' strike, and they came all the way on their big march from the north down to, and we put up miners in.
Oh, did you?
In the centre.
Oh, that's it. You see the politics as well. Absolutely political commitment to sort of grassroots.
Again, that all came through. People went walking into the cafe, and saying, can you do this? And Muddy had, what was that group? She had a dance group which was called Wands, which was Women Against Nuclear Dumping, because that was another big issue going on at the time.
Yes.
In Bedfordshire particularly, they wanted to dump.
And of course, by having Muddy there was great, because obviously I hadn't said Contradictions was a women's workshop performance group, particularly open to women of all ages, races, with an emphasis on working class women, and that so Contradictions again. was very supported it as a women's project.
Yeah.
So I think Muddy being there was really important.
I think looking back, a lot of that seems weird saying these words now, but that kind of involvement of women in that creative process, it was all new ground in some ways.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
it was driven by people's desires to be.
Yeah.
Maggie, so good to talk to you.
Oh, I love 33. I loved it with all my heart and soul. I really did it. I've always had a really important place in my heart. 33, Oval House.
Yeah.
They're the two places for me that just really was so special, so special. Just wish I had a sharper memory and I could remember dates and things like that.
That's one of the... just to finish up with and leave you with this kind of memory is that we finished up with a lot of archive material, which are programs. You know, people like Joe Brand worked there a lot in the early days, and John Hegley, obviously, and all this. Mark Steele and these characters. You know. Harry Hill even with his collar worked at 33.
Wow.
And but we have all these programs, and it's like Wednesday the 3rd, 7:30, but we don't even know what year it is.
What year? I know. That's it. I know programs like that. And you think, when was it? What year was that? Exactly. It's got the date, but not the year.
Yeah. It's really hilarious. And then, things were entrance fee 5 shillings or something like that.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Maggie, great. Thanks for
you,
taking
Paul.
time out of this recording session to talk to me. And brilliant.
Bless you, Paul. Bless you. Love you so much, really.
Cool.
Even although you owe me 200 million euros.
Yeah, and I'll keep that in the film, just so you know.
I've only had €2 off you. Oh, and a couple of meals.
Couple of meals.
Yeah.
No, 1 meal, I think. Just paying for this.
Oh, yeah.